My name is Alex, and I'm 32 years old. My wife, Selena, 30F, and I have been married for almost 11 years now. We met in college and hit it off immediately. She was funny, smart, and beautiful, everything I thought I wanted in a partner. We dated for a year before getting married, and I truly believed we were soulmates. Our life together seemed perfect. We both had good jobs, a nice house, and a cat we adored. We rarely fought and enjoyed spending time together. I thought we had a strong, loving relationship built on trust and mutual respect. But I was wrong. So very wrong. Last week, just days before our 11th anniversary, my world came crashing down. It started innocently enough. Our beloved cat had recently passed away, and my brother wanted to make us a photo blanket as a memorial. He asked if I could send him some pictures, so I went to look through Selena's iPad since she was always taking photos of our cat. As I was scrolling through her photos, I noticed an album I'd never seen before. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. What I found inside made my stomach churn. There were dozens of explicit photos of Selena that I'd never seen before. These weren't pictures she'd sent to me, they were clearly meant for someone else. My mind racing, I did something I'm not proud of. I synced all of her devices and started going through her messages. I knew it was an invasion of privacy, but I was consumed by fear and insecurity. That's when I found it, a message to someone planning to hook up while I was out of town on a business trip next week. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking as I closed the iPad and tried to process what I'd just discovered. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, waiting for Selena to come home from her shopping trip. When she finally walked through the door that evening, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I confronted her about what I'd found. At first, she tried to deny it, but when I mentioned the specific messages and photos, she broke down and admitted everything. It turns out that Selena had been living a double life for nearly our entire relationship. She confessed to being a sex addict and told me she'd been hooking up with random people from various websites for the past 10 years. She'd been using a pseudonym to protect her identity and had been careful to keep this part of her life completely separate from our marriage. I was stunned. The woman I thought I knew better than anyone in the world was suddenly a stranger to me. I felt like our entire relationship had been built on lies and deception. All those nights I thought she was working late or out with friends, she'd been meeting up with strangers for sex. Selena begged for forgiveness, insisting that it was just sex and that she truly loved me. She claimed that her addiction had nothing to do with our relationship and that I was the only one she really cared about. But her words rang hollow. How could I believe anything she said after a decade of lies? In that moment, I felt like my entire world had been shattered. The future I thought we had together crumbled before my eyes. I told Selena to pack her things and leave. I couldn't stand to look at her, let alone share a home with her. The next few days were a blur. I barely ate or slept, spending most of my time trying to wrap my head around what had happened. I kept replaying moments from our relationship in my mind, wondering if there had been signs I'd missed. Had I been completely blind, or was Selena just that good at hiding her secret life? I reached out to some close friends and family for support, and their reactions ranged from shock to anger on my behalf. My brother, who had unknowingly set this discovery in motion, felt terrible and offered to let me stay with him for a while if I needed space. Selena continued to call and text, begging for another chance. She promised to get help for her addiction and swore she'd never cheat again. Part of me wanted to believe her, to think that maybe we could work through this. But a larger part knew that the trust was irreparably broken. After a week of agonizing over the decision, I agreed to meet with Selena to talk things through. She came prepared with information on sex addiction treatment programs and support groups for couples dealing with infidelity. She seemed genuinely remorseful and eager to make things right. Against my better judgment, and despite the advice of friends and family, I decided to give her one more chance. I told her she could move back in, but that we'd be sleeping in separate rooms and she'd have to agree to complete transparency, no locked phones, no secret accounts, and she had to attend therapy and support group meetings. Selena agreed to all my conditions, seemingly grateful for the opportunity to save our marriage. She moved back in the next day, and we began the painful process of trying to rebuild what she had destroyed. It's been a month now since I discovered Selena's infidelity, and I'm still struggling to come to terms with everything. Some days, I think maybe we can work through this. Other days, I'm consumed by anger and doubt, wondering if I'm making a huge mistake by giving her another chance. I don't know what the future holds for us. Part of me hopes that with time and effort, we can heal and possibly even come out stronger. But another part wonders if I'll ever truly be able to trust her again, or if I'm just prolonging the inevitable by trying to forgive the unforgivable. I guess only time will tell. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time and trying to focus on healing myself, regardless of what happens with our relationship. Update 1. It's been 2 months since I discovered my wife Selena's decade-long infidelity, and I'm writing this update with a heavy heart. I wanted to believe that we could work things out, that her remorse was genuine and that she truly wanted to change. But as the days have turned into weeks, it's become painfully clear that I made a mistake in giving her a second chance. The past month of living together has been absolute hell. Despite her promises to change and be completely transparent, Selena's behavior has only gotten worse. At first, she seemed to be making an effort. She attended a few therapy sessions and went to a couple of support group meetings for sex addiction. But it didn't take long for her to start making excuses and skipping out on her commitments. I've caught her in several more lies since she moved back in. She's been deleting her browser history, despite agreeing to complete transparency. When I confronted her about it, she claimed she was just embarrassed about some online shopping she'd done. But when I pressed further, she admitted to looking up her old hookup sites out of curiosity. Last week, I found a burner phone hidden in her car. When I confronted her about it, she broke down crying and admitted that she'd been in contact with one of her former hookups. She swore nothing physical had happened, but at this point, I don't believe a word she says. The worst part is, Selena doesn't seem to understand the gravity of what she's done. She acts like I'm being unreasonable for not trusting her, as if a few weeks of half-hearted attempts at change should erase a decade of betrayal. She's become defensive and argumentative, accusing me of punishing her by checking up on her activities. I've tried to explain to her that rebuilding trust takes time and consistent effort on her part, but she doesn't seem to get it. She wants everything to go back to normal, as if we can just sweep 10 years of infidelity under the rug and move on. The constant stress and tension in our home are taking a toll on my mental and physical health. I've lost weight, I'm not sleeping well, and I find myself constantly on edge, waiting for the next betrayal. This isn't the life I want for myself. I've also started to question everything about our relationship. Was any of it real? Did she ever truly love me, or was I just a convenient cover for her secret life? The more I think about it, the more I realize that I don't really know who Selena is at all. My friends and family have been supportive, but I can tell they're frustrated with my decision to give Selena another chance. My brother, in particular, has been urging me to end things for good. He pointed out that I'm young enough to start over and find someone who will truly value and respect me. I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to think he's right. The thought of divorce is terrifying. We've built a life together, and untangling it all seems overwhelming. But the alternative, staying in this toxic, untrusting relationship, seems even worse. Yesterday, I finally reached my breaking point. I came home early from work and found Selena on her laptop, quickly closing it when she saw me. When I asked to see what she was doing, she refused, claiming I was being controlling. We got into a huge argument, and in the heat of the moment, she blurted out that she couldn't live like this anymore and that maybe we should just end things. As soon as the words left her mouth, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. In that moment, I realized that I'd been holding on to something that was already dead. I told Selena that I agreed, this wasn't working, and it was time to end our marriage. The look of shock on her face told me that she hadn't expected me to agree. I think she was used to me fighting to keep our relationship alive, and she didn't know how to react when I finally stopped. We spent the rest of the evening discussing logistics. I told her she needs to move out by the end of the week, and that I'll be contacting a divorce lawyer in the morning. Surprisingly, once the decision was made, things between us were calmer than they've been in months. As I write this update, I'm sitting in our, soon to be my, living room, watching Selena pack her things. I feel a mix of emotions, sadness for what we've lost, anger at her betrayal, but mostly relief that I'm finally taking control of my life again. I know the road ahead won't be easy. Divorce is never simple, and I'm sure there will be challenging days ahead. But for the first time in months, I feel hopeful about the future. I'm looking forward to rediscovering who I am outside of this relationship and eventually finding someone who will truly value and respect me. To those who advised me to end things sooner, you were right. I wish I had listened. But I don't regret giving it one last try, if only because it showed me beyond a doubt that there was nothing left to save. Thank you all for your support and advice. I'll update again once the divorce is finalized and I've had some time to process everything. For now, I'm focusing on healing and moving forward, one day at a time. Update 2: It's been 6 months since my last update, and a lot has happened. The divorce was finalized 3 months ago, and I've been slowly putting my life back together. But recent events have brought everything rushing back, and I felt compelled to share this update. First, let me catch you up on what's been happening. After Selena moved out, I threw myself into work and started seeing a therapist to deal with the aftermath of her betrayal. It hasn't been easy, but I've made progress. I've reconnected with old friends, taken up new hobbies, and even started casually dating again. The divorce proceedings were relatively straightforward, as we didn't have kids and Selena didn't contest anything. She seemed eager to get it over with, which at the time I attributed to guilt. Little did I know there was more to the story. About a week ago, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, a man introduced himself as David and asked if he could meet with me. He said it was important and related to Selena. Curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to meet him at a local coffee shop. When I arrived, I found a man about my age looking nervous and fidgety. He introduced himself properly and then dropped a bombshell. He was Selena's affair partner, but not just any affair partner. He had been involved with her for the entire duration of our marriage. I was stunned. I knew Selena had been unfaithful, but I had always believed it was with random hookups. The idea that she had maintained a long-term relationship with someone else throughout our entire marriage was almost too much to process. David went on to explain that he and Selena had met in college, around the same time she and I started dating. They had a brief fling, but Selena chose to pursue a relationship with me. However, they never fully cut ties. According to David, their affair started just a few months after Selena and I got married. At first, it was occasional meetups when I was out of town. But over the years, it evolved into a full-blown relationship. They would meet several times a week, sometimes even when I was home, under the guise of Selena working late or meeting friends. The random hookups, David explained, were a cover. Selena would occasionally meet strangers from websites to create a pattern of behavior that would be easier to explain if caught. But her heart, such as it was, belonged to David. I sat there, my coffee growing cold, as David continued to reveal the extent of their deception. They had taken vacations together, posing as a married couple. They had a shared bank account and had even discussed having children together. All while Selena played the role of devoted wife to me. When I asked why he was telling me all this now, David's answer shocked me even further. Selena was pregnant, and the baby was his. They had planned to start a family once my divorce was finalized, but nature had other plans. David said he couldn't in good conscience move forward without telling me the truth. I left that coffee shop in a daze, my mind reeling from these revelations. Part of me was angry that David had waited until now to come clean. But mostly, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. The lingering doubts I had about ending my marriage evaporated. I realized that I had been mourning a relationship that never truly existed. In the days since meeting David, I've gone through a roller coaster of emotions. Anger, hurt, and betrayal have resurfaced. But underneath it all, there's a growing sense of freedom. The life I thought I had with Selena was a carefully constructed lie, but now I have the chance to build something real. I've decided to use this as an opportunity for a fresh start. I've accepted a job offer in another state, something I had been considering but was hesitant about. Now, it feels like the perfect chance to leave the past behind and start anew. As for Selena, I've decided to cut all contact. Learning about her pregnancy and long-term affair only confirms that she never truly valued our relationship. I wish her and David well, but I want no part in their lives going forward. To those who might be in a similar situation, wondering if they should give their unfaithful partner another chance, trust your instincts. Don't waste years of your life on someone who doesn't value you. It's better to be alone than with someone who makes you doubt your worth. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your words of encouragement have meant more than you know. Update 3. It's hard to believe it's been a year since my world was turned upside down by the discovery of my ex-wife's infidelity. As I sit here in my new apartment in a new city, I felt compelled to share one final update on my journey. The past 6 months since my last update have been transformative. Moving to a new state for work was exactly what I needed. The change of scenery has allowed me to truly start fresh, away from the painful memories and familiar places that reminded me of my failed marriage. My new job has been challenging but rewarding. I've thrown myself into my work, taking on additional responsibilities and even earning a promotion. It feels good to be recognized for my efforts and to know that I'm valued for who I am and what I contribute. But it's not all about work. I've made a conscious effort to build a new social circle and explore my new surroundings. I joined a local hiking group and have been amazed by the beautiful trails in the area. I've also taken up photography, capturing the stunning landscapes I encounter on my hikes. It's become a form of therapy for me, allowing me to focus on the beauty in the world rather than dwelling on past hurts. Update 3, 1 year later, rebuilding and thriving, continued. I've made some great friends through these new activities. They know bits and pieces of my story, but they don't define me by my past. It's refreshing to be known as Alex the photographer or Alex the hiker rather than Alex the guy whose wife cheated on him. As for my personal life, I've started dating again, but I'm taking things slow. I've been on a few casual dates, nothing serious yet. I'm still working on rebuilding my trust in others, but I'm proud of the progress I've made. I no longer feel the need to check my partner's phone or question their every move. I've learned that while trust is important, so is self-respect and having clear boundaries. I've had no contact with Selena since our divorce was finalized. A mutual friend informed me that she gave birth to her child with David a few months ago. While this news initially brought up some complicated feelings, I was surprised to find that I felt mostly indifferent. Their life together no longer has any bearing on mine, and I'm at peace with that. My therapist has been instrumental in helping me process everything and move forward. I've learned a lot about myself through this journey, my strengths, my values, and what I truly want in a partner and in life. I've also learned to forgive myself for not seeing the signs earlier and for giving Selena that ill-fated second chance. I now understand that my desire to save our marriage came from a place of love and commitment, and there's no shame in that. Looking back on the past year, I'm amazed at how far I've come. The pain and betrayal I felt seem like a distant memory now. Don't get me wrong, there are still moments when something triggers a memory or a twinge of hurt, but these instances are becoming fewer and farther between. To those who might be going through something similar, I want you to know that there is life after betrayal. It's not an easy road, and there will be days when you feel like you can't go on. But you can, and you will. Take it one day at a time, surround yourself with supportive people, and don't be afraid to start over if that's what you need. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm genuinely excited about it. I feel like I'm finally living life on my own terms, free from the shadow of lies and deceit that clouded my past. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your words of encouragement, advice, and shared experiences have been a source of strength for me. I hope that by sharing my story, I've been able to offer some hope or comfort to others going through similar situations. This will likely be my final update on this chapter of my life. It's time to close this book and focus on writing the next one. Here's to new beginnings, self-discovery, and the beautiful unpredictability of life.